Hey folks, welcome to the July 2nd SIG Windows community meeting. This is a recorded meeting which will be uploaded to YouTube. So please adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct, which basically translates to be nice and kind to everyone. All right, let's kick things off. Announcements. Code freeze has moved to July 23rd. So a little bit more breathing room for folks working on things under code freeze. Now is the time we give some time for new contributors to speak up. I'm not seeing anyone that I don't know, but I will wait for a couple of seconds so that folks can speak up and introduce themselves if they feel like it. Awesome. All right, let's move on to the agenda. The first item is the CNCF Azure subscription move. I can see there's a draft PR opened up. I'm not sure who added this
Yep,
to the. Yeah,
that's
go
me,
ahead.
Arvind. Yeah, this is for the work that's going on to move jobs to the new subscription that's being donated by Azure. So this PR is the Terraform scripts that'll set the resources up in the Azure group. I have tested all of this out locally. I'm still sure I might have missed something. So it's in draft state till we get everything up and running. So meanwhile, this goes in, I'll continue to work on moving a job over. That way we can see real time how things are interacting and we can get it in. Yeah.
Yeah, and just remind me, most of the is most of this stuff usually in Terraform?
It is especially for AWS. So if you go to the infra folder and you see how they've structured it for other cloud providers, I've tried to use similar structuring and I've
Okay,
tried to
that's
use
totally
similar
cool.
scripts. Yep.
Yeah, excellent. If you're following the same pattern that's existing, that's the way to go.
Okay. All right.
I think one of my pull requests also depends on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Basically, I did send a new job for pre-submit Windows unit tests job run, and I think they're waiting basically for this to finish. So yay!
okay.
one last thing on my plate then.
Yeah.
Cool.
So most of the stuff in this folder is for cluster API for Azure. And just I'd say majority of the tests that run in Azure run on cluster API for Azure right now, or use cluster API for Azure. All the Windows tests do. And so that's what most of this is for. There will be like some documentation that goes along with this. Oh, looks like you already added it, so thank you.
I didn't add much to the README though. Feel free to give suggestions on how much depth I should go in.
Cool. Yeah, and we're working through the best way to like authenticate with this, and there'll be some instructions on how to do that as well. There's a few PRs and cluster API for Azure that we're working through to do that as well. So more to come in the following weeks. So thank you for working on this.
All right, that looks good. If there's nothing else to add in this topic, we can move on to the updates for HPC base images for kubeproxy.
Yeah, I added that. So I opened up a pull request. There's a Slack channel in SIG release about where to put the image, and nobody confirmed that it should go in the Kubernetes release repository, but everybody said that's probably a good place to put it to start, and then they were going to review it. So I opened up a pull request to add it there. And right now, I think the only comment is there's a comment about licensing. There's Ben asks why it's released with the CC 0, the Creative Commons 0 license, and I replied this morning saying that's what the equivalent MCR image was. So we'll see what happens with that. But this is pretty straightforward, and there's a couple more PRs that are going to be needed after this to actually do the image promotion to get it into the Kubernetes repositories, but those should be pretty quick. So
Yeah, I
hopefully
think
this
that's
will-
the right location for the image. I think that's where other base images used for
Yep.
other bits and pieces and Kubernetes are also.
Yeah.
So it makes sense
There's
to be there.
some of like both the infrastructure and the I think that like an Alpine image and a couple other base images are all in there. So I think that makes sense too. Hopefully this will unblock the kube proxy PR. Kube proxy.
Yeah, there was one blocker for the kubeproxy pull request. There was another issue, which apparently when the original pull request merged, it broke some downstream jobs, but I'm not sure which jobs, especially being downstream, and with the latest changes, if that's gonna happen anymore. But I'll have to ping people to check if it's gonna be fine.
Okay, yeah, to see which jobs broke and see if we can figure out why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it's an upstream job, I can also test as well, but I'm not sure about any downstream. Maybe some private repo jobs. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe
yeah,
they blocked access to MCR so that maybe it's related. Or third party, or like just different container registries.
I mean, by default, the Windows kubeproxy image was not built, so there's probably gonna be another step somewhere in the future, in which basically we have to set the right make flag in order to also build the Windows kubeproxy image for release. I'd have to check on that to see when and where and how. But by default, the Windows image is not being built for every single job because, a lot of the jobs are actually building the binaries from scratch, if I'm not mistaken. And that would basically just slow the entire CI process simply because it was building Windows binaries, which it didn't need and it shouldn't have. So it's only optional. So it shouldn't have been an issue there. But there were some variable renames which might have been caused some issues, which was mentioned after the merge. So now with how it looks now, there shouldn't be that issue anymore. But I'd like to be certain.
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, Claudio. When you were mentioning about downstream, like which downstream is this?
They did not mention. On the original pull requests, basically they reverted it over the weekend. I was not even aware of the fact when it happened.
And they is someone from Google?
The core Kubernetes people, like who was it, like Antonio, maybe I might be mistaken for a second.
Okay. No.
I think it would be better to just look.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the downstream here is that,
Yeah.
Yeah, but a very core person mentioned that issue. So
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I need
I
to
think Jordan Liggett is that right?
somebody did, but I don't remember who.
yeah, it's fine, Claudio. I was just wondering, like, usually
Yeah,
folks don't
Jordan
worry about
apparently.
upstream breaking downstream, right? They expect downstream to kind of react to that. So I was just wondering what's going on. That's fine.
Yeah, in the original pull request, Jordan commented afterwards that the pull request broke some downstream jobs. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we can move on from here onto the CPU manager KEP updates. Is that you, James?
Yeah, thanks to everyone that's reviewed it so far. I've pushed a bunch of updates based on everybody's feedback. And I think the one thing that we were trying to figure out was around the how we were going to do the memory manager. And so I updated that section. And Kirtana has helped me with that on the HCS and the OS side. So I think we've kind of dialed in how we're going to solve that problem. Maybe the specifics or like implementation details might change a little bit, but yeah. So go ahead and take another look, and hopefully we'll get that merged. I'm working on the code changes and maybe adding a test, a couple tests to make sure that things are working the way we expect it to.
Yeah, looks good. James, I took a look. I'm pretty much fine with it at this point. I can give an LCTM if needed, but I don't think, that's what you're waiting on.
Yeah, I took a look and it mostly looks good. I don't think I had any comments. I can LGTM it too if needed. I'll probably do that anyway.
But yeah, I think there's one comment left from you, Arvind, that around like the number of the CPU, and like I think my logic going one way was right, the logic coming back was wrong, and so I've started writing unit tests around that piece of code, and just to make sure I have the logic right. So I'll update that,
fine.
and then I'll ask for an LGTM after that.
Okay, that sounds good. I looked at most of my comments and I thought they were resolved. But yeah, ping me, James, on the PR, and I'll take a look and give an LGTM after that. All right, looks like we are at the end of our agenda. Any other topics that we would like to discuss? All right, sounds good, folks. I will give everybody back 13 minutes. I will see everybody on Slack then. Take it easy.
Thanks, everybody.